season has finally arrived. My favorite part about autumn is the plants. I love all of the colors that the leaves turn into, all the reds, the oranges, the purples. I thought, what better way to celebrate that than by putting all of those favorite plants on a crown. I originally wanted to name this video Autumn Flower Crown. I just think autumn sounds prettier than fall does, but alliterations. Fall, flower, you know. There's tons of videos already on how to make flower crowns, but just consider this how to make mine specifically. Also, like a bunch of other people, I'm obsessed with everything pumpkin spice that comes out during fall. So what better thing to drink when I make this crown than pumpkin rooibos tea from Trader Joe's? Other than the stuff I already had, everything I bought for this crown was from Dollar Tree. You'll need some fake flowers and leaves. I have a variety of flowers and leaves here that I'll introduce to you in a bit. Some floral wire if you wish, and floral tape. I didn't end up using this, but you might use it to tack down some of your branches, or to attach to flowers and leaves to have them stick out a little bit more. I got these really pretty yellow and orange leaves that are just called fall foliage. And I also got this branch of maple leaves because it had some nice dark red and purple notes. I thought it would contrast beautifully with the orange and yellow. Plus, I wanted the full array of colors that you get when the leaves change color during fall. For the flowers, I have some really pretty red Gerbera daisies, some cream-colored chrysanthemums, and some cream-colored marigolds. Even though the marigolds and the chrysanthemums are the same color, I thought the differences in the petals and the shape would give it a nice texture. So first off, I needed to make the base of the crown, and I used the stems of the flowers to do this. So what I did to pluck everything off is I held the flowers by the base, and I just pulled it off. And I did that to everything on the stem until it was bare. I knew that wasn't going to fit around my head, so I stripped one more. And after holding those two sticks together around my head, I realized I would need a third one, so I stripped my third stick. And now I had 3 sticks to use as the ring around my head. Then I dug through this new pile of flowers to find my floral tape. I held 2 of my sticks together and began wrapping them together with my floral tape. Now, if you haven't used floral tapes before, you might have seen them in corsages and boutonnieres for prom and for weddings. Don't freak out when you discover that it's not sticky. The way it works is you just sort of wrap and wrap and wrap, and then when you're done, you just snip off the tape and you wrap it back down and it sticks to itself. Pretty nifty, huh? I had to take my time with this since all the little tiny branches that went to each flower were all sticking out. So now here I have one long stick. And then I just did the same thing attaching my third stick. And then I held the whole long stick around my head, figured out where the ends needed to meet so that it fit around my head, and wrapped it up to close it. At this point, I had a bunch of little sticks that were starting to come undone, so I just rewrapped it again to reinforce it. And there's my base. So I glued on the leaves first. And similar to the flowers, I just held the leaves at their base where they attached to the stem and plucked it right off. I also had way too much fun watching them fall into my board like autumn leaves. Imitating Doctor Who. Clara, you flew in on this leaf. I kind of love Clara as a companion, okay? So now I had my pile of leaves, whee! So to cut the leaves off these tiny stems, I took some pliers, this is just a tiny set of pliers that I have from a jewelry kit, and snipped it off at the base. Then it was time to whip out my glue. You can use whatever glue you wish. Some people like to use hot glue guns, but I can't stand them, so I use my industrial strength E6000. I figured out how I wanted to place my first leaf, put a strip of glue on the band, and pressed it on. And I did the same thing using different leaves and trying to play with them at different angles. And then I let it hang out to dry, and I used some various clips I found around my house to keep it attached to the stem, since sometimes since they're bent this way, they like to try to come off. And one of the flowers managed to get in my tea. Woohoo, Dollar Tree dust in your tea, isn't that what you always wanted? After it dried, the band looked a little thin. I wasn't sure if the flowers were going to obscure the leaves, so I added some more leaves to make the band a little wider and give the crown some more surface area. The band ended up looking very flat, and I knew it wasn't going to contrast well with all the flowers sticking out. So I tried bending and ruffling and pulling apart some leaves, snipping at glue in a couple places so that it looked a little bit more authentic. And then it was time to glue on the flowers. All the flowers have this little stem nub thingy on the back, so I just took my pliers and snipped that right off so it could lay flat against the band. I figured out where I wanted to place it, put on some glue, and then pressed it in that spot on the band. And I just continued that with the rest of the flowers. My pattern was pretty much red flower and then the 2 cream flowers. I also had to work with half the crown at a time because the flowers like to come off with gravity. Again, so the leaves wouldn't look too flat, I tried gluing the back of some of the petals of the flowers to some of the leaves that were already on the crown so they would stick out a little bit more. And I also inserted leaves here and there, gluing them to the back of the flower petals. This made it look a whole lot better. It gave the crown a lot more body, and it didn't look like I just sort of stuck the flowers on this flat wall of leaves. I took the oddball green leaves that were on the flowers to line the inside of the crown to give it a bit of padding. And it was done. I felt like a fall autumn goddess wearing this and taking pictures of it. Also, there's just something about autumn sunsets that's so much more gorgeous than any other sunset. I know that sounds weird, and the sunsets probably don't look that different from any other time of the year, but to me the sunsets during autumn have such a unique golden color, and it just matches all the colors that I love about autumn so much, so beautifully. The crown has all my favorite colors of fall, and they mesh together so well, and the crown is huge on my head, so nice and festive. It was also fun to put as a decoration on this giant hat that I always wear too. Where I live in Southern California, we don't quite get the beautiful autumn leaves that I have here. They kind of just die and turn crispy and brown. It always feels like California really just has summer and winter, and none of those in-between seasons like autumn and spring. So this crown also embodies what I never get to see here of my favorite season, and also my favorite part of my favorite season, which is all the colors and the beautiful leaves. Hopefully one day I'll get to move somewhere where they have actual autumn. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on another Tuesday for another Musi Marti, where I showcase all of my fun little creative projects. Bye!